Welcome to The Lift with Sheila Robinson Kiss. Come on in. There's always a special place set aside for you here where you can relax, kick up your heels, pour yourself a nice, refreshing drink, and prepare to be lifted and soar. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, and welcome back to The Lift with Sheila Robinson Kiss, mental health, movement, motivation. We've got it all. So, first things first, definitely do not forget to subscribe because fresh content comes at you weekly. I want to jump right in. I received a note from Tim, a longtime loyal subscriber. I so appreciate that. And he's been the inspiration for today's message. How to have a wonderful life. How to have a wonderful life, even if you come from a broken family. Let me share a little bit of his note and then jump right into the content. Hi, Sheila. I'm 22 years old and my family is highly dysfunctional. I barely have a relationship with my parents as a result of years of embarrassment, abuse, and neglect. They refuse to deal with any of it. I have a girlfriend now. I'm serious about her, and she asked to meet my family. I made a huge mistake and agreed. It was so terrible. They couldn't even hold it together for an hour-long dinner. My girlfriend's family is amazing and sane and loving. I feel so inadequate, like I can't deliver a healthy family for me or anyone else. I want to know how to cope with the brokenness of my family and heal at the same time with respect, Tim. Thank you, Tim. I respect you as well, and because I respect you, I'm going to be so direct with you and everyone else who's listening today. And I'm doing it because I wish at some point someone would have sat me down before I spent an inordinate amount of money on therapists, books, what have you. It was all relevant. Nothing is ever lost. None of that experience went to waste. But if I totaled it all up, I'm pretty sure I could have a small little villa in the Dominican with what has gone into dealing with um, that brokenness, the dysfunction, the hurt that resulted from that, getting myself, good and turned around to claim a wonderful life that I lead today. So listen, my friend Justin, hear me and hear me well. You can, you should, and you will have a wonderful life despite the dysfunctional dynamics you've dealt with coming of age. And how do I know that? Because I'm about to tell you right now. We're not playing any games on this channel. I'm about to tell you right now exactly, exactly how to do just that. And the first thing I want you to understand, pull your head out of the clouds and understand that absolutely how amazing is it if you're just born into this family with oodles and goodles of love and clothes and cherry pie and ice cream dreams. I love it. If that's your circumstance, I celebrate that for you. But in the real world, everyone doesn't get that. Everyone doesn't get that. In my book, They're Not Coming, the chapter, it's also a video on this book, Your Trip from London to Japan. Read that one because I make it clear that how we get here, the airplane ride we take, the parents who their DNA that brings us in, that is not the defining point of who you are. It's what you do with the trip. It's what you do with the trip. I want to be clear with you that by, see, we watch TV. Um, Huxtables, Beaver Cleaver, what have you, all these families that have formed over the years, just, pitch perfect. Everyone talks soft and nice and they come in and it's great. I have to tell you that um, bonding Love, affinity, affection, it is not automatic. We need to get real about it, guys, because so many people, they're hurt because you're under the assumption that this is automatic. I want to tell you that it's not, and here's how it forms. Remember these three words: healthy, connected relationships and disconnected, unhealthy relationships. They form or not. People rise up and form bonds because of obligation, need, or desire. You won't get this content anywhere else. What I'm sharing with you comes from the spiritual, the clinical, the practical. That's how it's always been. So remember these three words: obligation, need, and desire. I'm gonna give you some examples that go along with three. And you may have been in a circumstance early on, or you're in the circumstance now where you're born into a situation where there's no obligation felt toward you. There is no need to fulfill the obligation toward you. And quite frankly, there's no desire. And Justin, when that's you end up in a situation that you're in. You end up getting that feeling like, am I a priority? Did anyone love me or care? But what the heck's going on here? So, give you the first example: obligation. Um, Early in my career, I worked with a lot of young mothers, folks who, children who ended up in the foster care system. And a 16-year-old ended up getting pregnant. I stayed in touch with her on and off over the years, has an absolutely amazing life, two more children now, gorgeous career. And I remember years ago her telling me, I am a kid. Sheila, I'm a kid having a kid. I really am, but I want to do right by my baby. I want to do the right thing. She felt that she was scared out of her skull, but felt a strong obligation, and she's done that and then some. That is an attachment born out of obligation. And then the love came later. Two young brothers, both lost their parents, one 14, one 18, at each other's throats until they lost their parents. They turned to each other after this tragedy. We're going to have to stick together if this is going to work out. Can you imagine being on your own, a little bit of help from the state, but you got to pay your rent, you both have to hustle? That love and that bond was formed because we need to do this to survive. And then there's the desire. There's the desire. One of my dear friends, she's expecting a baby now, and they have planned for this baby and wanted this baby for so long. Baby isn't even here yet, but she already, that desire there to love and create a robust, loving home is there. That also will lend itself to healthy bonding. Okay, so understand, if one of those components doesn't click in, or perhaps all of them click in, you're pretty much SOL. That's a popular term that's used in one respect, but in another respect, there are silver linings all over the place when you really start to understand that you can have a spectacular life regardless of your early environment and circumstance if you so choose. There will come a point, I've worked with a lot of children over the years, and a 10-year-old, a 11-year-old, a 9-year-old who's in a tough circumstance. It is difficult for them to really see the light, understandably. And I've always, with those children, tried to give them as many tools as possible until they're in a position where they have the ultimate tool, which is the tool of choice. You will reach a point, and 22 is right. You're right there. Generally, this choice starts to bubble up at around 18, where you have to make a decision. Either I'm going to lament and walk inside of a lot of frustration and a lot of hostility and a lot of resentment over what I didn't get, over the void, over the deficits, or I'm going to get busy reparenting. I'm going to get busy reparenting myself and really turning the ship, making sure that the things that I didn't get, that I can give those to myself. That was a critical um, piece, a critical time in my journey when I realized just with the help of some amazing mentors, mental health professionals, I realized, oh my God, I can actually do something for myself. That this is real. There's something called reparenting. Yes, I talk about that in my YouTube series, how to support your inner child and do this corrective work. Let's be honest. If, Tim, you didn't put it in your letter, but I'm willing to bet there's just some things. You said the word neglect. There's just some things when you're a neglected kid, whether neglect is emotional, whether it's physical, check all the boxes. There are conversations you've missed, things you don't know how to do. I've worked with children who say, I just lamented. I didn't even know I had my 8th grade dance or my prom. I didn't know how to tie a tie. I've sat with girls and literally, 12, 13, 14, they didn't know how to take care of themselves on their menstrual cycles. I mean, it's things that you need to go back and fill in those gaps, the self-soothing, the self-care, and it's an element of efficiency. When you look at it that way, you literally don't have the time to keep turning in the direction of your family of origin, processing them, being sad about them. You need to get very deeply into this reparenting work and aligning your mental health so that when your children come and your life and your work, you can knock the ball out of the park. I waited with great intention. I was 40 when I had my first child. I don't necessarily recommend waiting that long. That's kind of pushing it. But you know what? For me, it was just so important. It was so important to ensure that these robust tools of alignment. I wanted to have a fabulous, fun time raising my child. I'm doing just that. I wanted to have all of that stuff situated. Let that be. Do you believe that I would be able to function at this level and still, looking back, what's going on, what happened, resentment? No, there comes a point in time. There comes a point in time you have to decide. You have to decide how much of that how much of that is going to define your life? How much of the dysfunction is going to define your life? How much of that are you going to bring forward with you and live in? So, Tim, that's absolutely something I want you to be thinking about. And this you do yourself a disservice by comparing. You're looking at your girlfriend's family and then you compare it to yours. Let me also be clear with this. Everyone comes here with a different trajectory, a different purpose, and they're living out very different lessons. A refreshed perspective is, you know what? I celebrate her. She's got this family, and certainly you'll enjoy that with her, should you continue in the relationship, and I hope you do. But here on the other hand, you know what? What are some of the lessons? Get inside of the lessons and the takeaways that your family gives you. You're just going to sit there and say, Sheila, there are no lessons and takeaways. They've hurt me. I've been so hurt. I've been so wounded. Then you're not really sitting inside of what I'm asking you to do. What are the silver linings? What did you learn? Because once you stop complaining and feeling sorry for yourself, that opens up a full pathway of learning. I think about the times in my life where, this word neglect, for me, there was just levels of emotional neglect. And today I thank God. I thank you, Jesus, for it. Because had my mother or father turned their attention on me, like in the states that they were, dysfunctional, true focus, it wouldn't have been healthy. So, yes, the attention and the guidance would have been nice, but in that space of neglect, I was left to my own devices. Did trouble find me? Trouble found me. I got myself into some hot water a few times. But you know what else found me? tremendous levels of resourcefulness, tremendous levels of resilience that follow me today. I'm a woman. I know how to get stuff done. You better believe it. That started early. It's hard boiled in me because I had to. There was no choice. So, what I'm saying to you is yes, we understand there's some hard times, but I guarantee if you sit, you're going to find a lesson, even if that lesson was simply, you know what, I had to overcome this challenge to find out exactly how strong I really am. Had those early experiences not been laid out the way they were, I just wouldn't have the appreciation or the passion that is really the hallmark of this work. I remember um, I left home, basically went across the stage, as did my sister. We both went across the stage for our high school graduation and immediately did the early programs for our undergrad. And I was not the kid that ever went home for summer breaks. I was like the RA. I was cleaning the dorms, cleaning the toilets, whatever I could do to hustle and make that money for tuition. And I remember one summer, they were going to close the dorms. I'm like, what am I going to do? And there was a tiny little apartment right above a tavern, which I had no business being in whatsoever. But the owner just took pity on me and was like, okay, you can stay here. I know you have a work. You really need to be back in your apartment. Lock your doors. This was like, it was just such a dive. Like, no one had any business living in something like this. And I will tell you that summer, to see myself come through that circumstance, clean up that dirty apartment, make it, take care of myself. Was it difficult? Yes, it was difficult. Was it lonely? Yes, it was lonely. But I will tell you what that did for me, coming back on the campus later in August, was like, you know what, hell, I can do that. I can do anything. So these early experiences, I'm asking you to go into the silver lining. Well, Sheila, I can't find a silver lining. Insist on one. I don't believe that. Insist on a silver lining and pull it out. I firmly believe that people um, will parent to their capacity. I will reference my videos, Harp Seal Mamas, Daddy Issues Resolved in 15 Minutes. Also, take a look at When Family Ties Bind and Choke. One of the things that can be very helpful in just releasing the resentment is understanding that at any given time, it doesn't matter whether or not you like the tools that someone is working with. People are working to the capacity, they're working with the tools that they have. And if you really sit with that, it gives you a lot of leverage to say, you know what am I going to suffer for the lack of tools that you have, or do I want to get myself busy and acquire some of those tools so I don't produce a child who needs to feel this way 15 years down the line, 10 years down the line. I believe that firmly there is a higher purpose. There is a higher purpose for the paths, particularly those early years that set the stage and they set the framework for so much in our lives. There is a reason. I honor, be clear on what I'm saying here. I honor the family lineage. I think that our families, whether they are amazingly close and healthy or whether there are dysfunctional elements within them, I think that we are born into the families we're born into with specific reasons, spiritual reasons, psychological reasons, emotional reasons, and better that we harness the lessons that we can take to go into the world and be the very best that we can be than to allow the expectation that I'm supposed to have I was supposed to have a wonderful family. This is supposed to be different. If that is really the narrative and what you believe, you are going to suffer. You're going to suffer. When I shifted that expectation, man, what happened here? I got a raw deal too. You know what? Maybe I wasn't supposed to have this picture perfect situation. Maybe that wasn't what I needed for my own path. When I let go of that, and started to look at um, the realities and what I could pull out of the situation, it got me out of that seat of complaining, bitterness, nastiness that will cause you to lose untold days, untold hours, untold relationships, because while you're licking your wounds and you're sad and you're resentful, you miss the beautiful person who's come in over here. You're so, don't know if you're coming or going. You miss opportunities, work opportunities. There's books that you can read. There's trips to take. But if you allow that heavy weight of resentment and sadness to stay on you, it will eat you up alive. It will eat you up alive. And I have seen it. I've worked with people well into their 60s and 70s, still tormented by a broken relationship with a mother, or a broken relationship with a father, a broken relationship with a sibling. Look at your family, the relationships that work and that are functional and that are good. I have some lovely relationships within my family. There's pieces of it that I've chosen. This is dysfunctional. This is not for me. But take the pieces that are workable and move forward. In the other, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, if it's just a really, Sheila, I'm hearing what you're saying, but it's just so hard, then give it to God. Give it to God. Ask Him to infuse in you. Align yourself with the Holy Spirit. Infuse in me the best and highest perspective about this situation. That help will come in. You will be worked with. You will find a refreshed attitude, but you have to be relentless about it. You have to open yourself up to that healing. So, Tim, to bring this full circle, how to have a wonderful life, even if you come from a broken family, I've laid out a lot here for you. At the end of the day, how you do it is you choose to do it, and you don't play games with what you're dealing with. You don't need to try to pretend that your family of origin is something that it is not. If it is just dysfunctional, if it's like a circus, just acknowledge that. Get real about it. Don't try to play games. Don't try to front. Just get real with that with yourself, and know that you are not defined by the unit that you were born into. You are defined by how you live your life, what you do with these days, what you do with these hours. People are going to look at you. They're going to look at you at face value. They're not going to be like, oh, well, when he was 3, when he was 10, I wonder what was going on. They're going to look at you at face value, and they will appreciate the work and what you have become. So rise up, rise up in your life. This is a very short ride. Rise up. Get a handle on your perspective, get a handle on your mental health, and rise up and live out the true divine purpose that you are called. It may be that God sent you, had a detour into some dysfunction because He just wanted you to have that appreciation and that gratitude for when you are blessed with a beautiful family and beautiful friends. There's many, many reasons. Insist on that silver lining, everyone. Lift up your life. Go on and have a wonderful life, regardless of the circumstances coming of age. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hope this has been useful. I'll be back soon with some more fresh content. Thank you so much.